Alright, enough. Why do bottles of water have grooves and one with soft drinks have 5 rounded bumps on the bottom? What do handshakes mean, and where did they come from? And more answers to questions we all keep Googling for no apparently good reason. Soft drink bottles are made of PET polymer, which is strong and can hold a ton of pressure. The carbonated beverage inside tends to swell, and a flat bottom would curve outwards, which wouldn't let the bottle stand on its own. So, 5 rounded bumps have been carefully engineered to solve that problem. Water bottles are made of thinner plastic. The grooves allow bottles to be pressed in a way that they'll become useless and unable to be refilled and resold. That's why it's recommended to squash the bottle vertically to dispose of it properly. In 2016, a law was passed in France forbidding supermarkets from wasting food. They either turn it into compost, feed the animals, or send it to charities. The Library of Congress in the U.S. constantly receives requests for books that don't even exist. That's because people see the books in movies and think that they're real. Marie Curie was the first person to win 2 Nobel Prizes and one of 2 people to get them in 2 separate fields, physics and chemistry. There are thousands of news stories published every day, but on the 18th of April 1930, absolutely nothing happened. BBC announced that there had been no news that day, and they played piano music instead. What a great idea! Continents never stop moving. Right now we're headed towards a new supercontinent formation, but it won't happen soon. They're moving slower than your nails are growing. Avocados don't ripen while they're on trees, so farmers store them on branches for up to 8 months. Salvador Dali avoided paying the tabs by drawing on the checks. His guess was that restaurants would never cash out such a treasured art piece, and he was correct. The difference between jam and jelly is that in jelly, the fruit comes as fruit juice with smooth texture, while in jam, the fruit is in the form of pulp. Contrary to popular belief, the Great Wall of China can't be seen from space with an unaided eye. Handshakes come from the ancient times of sword fights. Warriors wore their sword on their left side, and they'd use their right hand to draw it out. Shaking hands became an indication that one had peaceful intentions and wouldn't use their right arm to draw out the sword. Pasta was considered a dish for the wealthy during the Renaissance, and a single strand of spaghetti is called a spaghetto. True. Even though pandas love munching on bamboo, their closest relatives are carnivores. During their evolution, they stopped eating meat, and their meat-liking receptors became non-functional. When giant pandas are born, they're as big as small rats. Just some panda facts. While buzzing around, bees use the sun as a fixed reference point, and despite their tiny brain, they can do minimal math and understand the concept of zero. According to fossil records, beavers used to roam the earth during the Ice Age, and they were bigger than bears. Those were called giant beavers, really. And the last time they shared a common ancestor with the beavers we know today was 24 million years ago. The infamous baked beans aren't actually baked, they're stewed. They're called baked beans because centuries ago, they were dried out, soaked overnight, simmered, and then slowly baked in a ceramic bean pot. Hummingbirds are the only birds that fly backwards. They have no sense of smell, and they weigh less than a sheet of paper. Fish also get coughs, but not like humans. It happens when their ventilation cycle gets interrupted, like when they want to clean their gills. Contrary to popular belief, babies can't breathe and swallow at the same time. But they're born with an advanced instinct that allows them to alternate swallowing and breathing so fast that it looks like they can do it. Though, as they grow older, that ability disappears. People who lack iron in their system can crave things that aren't food. These could be ice, clay, or chalk. The anonymous artist Banksy once sold a $1.4 million painting that self-destructed as soon as it was sold during an auction. The painting was shredded to pieces, and the collector still wanted it. When Play-Doh first came out, it was intended to be a wallpaper cleaner. It wasn't until a year later that it came out as a toy. There's an official league for rock, paper, scissors where people from all over the world can participate in tournaments and win prizes. There's a hummingbird species that's so small people mistake it for an insect. It's as big as a golf ball, and it's the smallest bird on the planet. Statistics say you're more likely to win an Olympic gold medal without any training than winning the lottery jackpot. Your chances of winning the medal are 1 in 9 million and 1 in 14 million for the lottery. And you're right, none of those are good odds. The average waiter takes 22,000 steps per day, and the average nurse takes 16,000. Someone who works in an office walks only 7,000 steps a day. Only 15% of the Sahara Desert consists of sand. The other 85% is a luxurious oasis. Nah, it's made of stone and gravel. If your body could survive in lava, you wouldn't be able to sink into it. Lava is incredibly dense. And if you fell into a volcano, you would float on its surface, looking rather like a charred marshmallow. The word orange refers to the fruit, not the color. The shade wasn't mentioned until people started talking about the juicy fruit in the 1300s. Orange you glad to know that? Yes, that's an old joke. 95% of a jellyfish's body consists of water, and the rest is solid matter. That means if you leave a jellyfish in the sun, it will evaporate. Water bottles have an expiration date, not because the water goes bad, but because that's the time the plastic will begin to disintegrate into the water. London taxi drivers must take a knowledge test in which they have to memorize 60,000 streets and 100,000 places within 6 miles around Charing Cross. It takes them 2 to 4 years to get their license. The Hubble Space Telescope consumes a little more power per minute than the average kettle. Researchers have found that your intestine replaces its lining every 5 to 7 days. I have nothing to add to that. The acid in your stomach is so strong that it can dissolve metal, and you have enough iron in your body to produce a large nail. So, aren't you something? Earthquakes used to be measured on the Richter scale, but now the magnitude scale is more accurate because it calculates the tremor based on the energy it disperses. Anything below the 2.0 or even 3.0 magnitude will likely go unnoticed. It took more than 10 years to complete the International Space Station and 40 flights to assemble it. It was completed in 2011, though new changes are added all the time. Astronauts at the International Space Station spend 2 hours every day working out to prevent muscle loss, since they're floating in zero gravity the rest of the day. It's believed that Picasso produced more than 50,000 unique pieces of artwork. Around 1,000 of them were believed to be stolen, and art detectives are on the hunt for them. The velociraptors that were around more than 70 million years ago were just a little bigger than turkeys. Facebook engineers were going to call the like button an awesome button, and instead of the famous thumbs up, they discussed giving it a star or plus sign shape. Human fingers are so sensitive that if the tip of your finger was the size of the Earth, you'd feel the difference between a car and a house. A hummingbird's heart beats 1,260 times per minute. Your heart, for comparison, can only beat around 100 times a minute or so. Nope, I wouldn't even try to compete with that. There are more atoms in a shot glass of water than glasses of water in the Earth's oceans. And finally, there's this. Neptune was first drawn by Galileo in 1613 when he mistook it for a star. In 1846, it was discovered through calculations by 3 independent scientists. That led to wide dispute on who discovered it first, since it couldn't be seen without a telescope. Good luck!